Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BSing Sports. As you can see this week, it's Bill as always, but not Ryan. As always, today we've got one of our first seasonal hosts. We're very excited to have Tim Brandt, my younger brother, Ryan's best friend, on the show joining us. Tim, say hi.
What up, everyone? I'm excited to be here for the season.
That's it? No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So Tim's a little bit nervous. So this week's show is going to be a lot of me leading him into conversations and helping him get his feet wet. And then we'll go from there. But you guys remember, those of you who are loyal listeners, remember from last year that Tim was on our second overall episode ever. And
I was nervous then too.
And he was nervous then, but it was a really good show between me, him, and Ryan doing baseball standings and predictions and stuff like that for the season last year. But we're excited to have Timmy on as our first seasonal host, and we're going to get started. We're going to get right into it, and we're going to start with the topic that we're not usually discussing is the NBA Finals. Last night, the Golden State Warriors eliminated the Boston Celtics 4-2. Timmy, what was the final score of that game?
103-90.
Okay. You told me this stuff earlier, so go ahead and inform me about Steph Curry and everything. Do your thing, buddy.
So Steph Curry finally won his MVP in the finals to add to his trophy case with his 4 final rings with the Golden State Warriors, which is really hard to do for one team.
Correct. It is hard to do with one team. There's a superstar in the league right now that people keep saying is the GOAT who had to switch teams several times to get 4 rings. Throwing it out there. Say what you will. Say what you will about LeBron being the GOAT, but he had to switch teams. Throwing it out there.
Steph Curry, same team the whole time.
Having said that, Steph Curry's numbers this year in the playoffs or in the finals is absolutely phenomenal. You're talking he averaged 31.2 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, and 2 steals per game. That's phenomenal.
Don't forget, in Game 5, he missed every 3-pointer he shot.
And
in Game 5, so it's phenomenal what he's been doing in the finals every year he's played in it.
Correct, I agree. He's got one of the best long shots in the game, has for years, and there's no denying that.
No doubt.
All right. Seeing as that's a topic that neither of us are very well versed in, we'll move on to the NHL, which neither of us are super well versed in. Right now, it is the Stanley Cup Finals. You have the Colorado Avalanche, as Ryan and I discussed last week. Sorry, my camera is focusing wrong. As Ryan and I discussed last week, finally making the playoffs. And they have defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first game of the series the other night in overtime, 4-3. So they lead the series 1-0. They play tonight at 8 p.m. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it is tomorrow night, Saturday at 8 p.m. And I'm rooting for the Avalanche here. I feel like the Lightning kind of need to be brought back down to earth after winning 2 straight. How do you feel about that, Tim?
I agree. The Avalanche deserve the shot at the Stanley Cup. Yeah, that's right. And I think the best year to do it this year for them.
Yeah, they're unlike the Lightning, who are a very old team. The Avalanche are really young. They have the opportunity to do this several years in a row, much like the Lightning have done to this point. We could be seeing a repeat of this next year and maybe even the year after with how talented both these rosters are.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I'm not as well versed in the NHL, but I think the Avalanche would be great for the years to come.
So this is the first prediction we've got. I went the opposite. I said the Avalanche win in 7.
I agree with you, Bill.
There it is. See, there you go. Ken, you don't know anything. We know stuff. All right, moving forward out of hockey. Like I said, Ryan is the knowledge on hockey. However, Timmy and I are both far better in baseball and football, so we're going to start having a conversation about baseball and football. We are going to start with the NFL and some news out of the NFL today. Today specifically, yesterday. Today is Ron Rivera. Yesterday was Mike McCarthy. Both coaches have been fined $100,000 for practices being too tough or too much hitting during practice right now in the OTAs, and they've been docked future OTA practices because of how they have practiced to this point in the offseason. What do you take of that, Tim?
I'm taking it as they want to get their guys ready for the season with the big hits coming for those guys, like the running backs, for instance, Zeke and Gibson. They're going to be taking big hits and everything like that. So I see why they're doing the bigger hits, like the harder practices. But it is like today with almost 100 degrees in New Jersey. You can only imagine where it's at in Dallas and Washington D.C. So it's going to be hot. So they're going to be tough on the guys.
I'm gonna share this one here. So the first that one, and then we'll go to this one. The rule is that during OTAs, there's not supposed to be full contact. You're allowed to have shoulder pads and helmets, and you can do walkthroughs with semi-contact. However, once you increase into like running backs getting decked by linebackers for the middle, that's too much getting going here in OTAs. And they're really doing it to protect the players. You're talking it's a 17-game season. This time or these days, 17-game season. Mm-hmm. They're getting beat up a lot. Even George Kittle came out the other day and said he's a huge advocate of the 2 bye-week system for each team. Just because of the wear and tear. Some of these teams don't get bye weeks until week 12, week 13, and some of them are getting them in week 4 and have to play the rest of the season.
Exactly. It's tough. It is so tough on players. I was going to say something.
Go ahead.
I forgot, so go ahead.
All right.
Blank mind. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You'll get it. You're right, Ken. It does make it long. And it's so weird to call him Ken. For those of you who don't know, who have been watching for a while, Ken is our father. But seeing as right now he's just one of these guys making comments on our thing, I just call him Ken. But yeah, it's a long season. And the NFL is fearful of players getting hurt. You got to understand that if players get hurt in OTAs, the NFL is responsible for their insurance when they're out. So the NFL is going to have to pay extra money to these guys who are injured and come, like hypothetically, somebody blows their knee out in OTAs and they're a rookie and the team doesn't hold on to them, which happens. It happens. The NFL is most of the time responsible for them throughout the recovery. That's a lot of money.
Well, that's what happened to Akers last year, wasn't it? When he tore the Achilles,
except the Rams didn't release him. A lot of teams do release young guys. Now Akers is a different kind of talent, and I'm sure we'll see it this season. But
absolutely,
yeah. Other information from the NFL the last couple of days is Deshaun Watson has now gotten 4 more sexual assault allegations pinned to him from out of the Houston area, which brings his total up to 26. The NFL go ahead, Tim. You got this. Fire away, buddy.
The NFL is suspending him for a year, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, and he needs to be suspended for longer or indefinitely. There's no reason why him getting all these charges and he's still playing. He should be in jail right now, in my opinion.
So if it's proven, I am with you. I believe he should, in fact, spend time in jail. I think the biggest travesty here is you've suspended a guy for a season who spent $1,500 gambling on a team that he was not playing for at that particular time. You suspended him, and now you've got 26 sexual assault allegations against one person who just signed one of the biggest contracts in NFL history. You're sending an image out about the NFL that what they do off the field does not matter as long as they're good on the field, and that is not a good look for the NFL.
Well, my thing is, how did Houston let it go on for so long?
Houston, it turns out Houston was burying some of the allegations, which is why more are coming up now.
Yeah.
And I mean, Houston, I think, could be held accountable for that.
I agree.
Here's the catch: is the Bears traded 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a handful of 4ths and 5ths to the Texans, and they still gave those up. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play another down,
the Browns.
What?
Not the Bears, the Browns.
I'm sorry, the Browns gave up all those picks. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play another down, the Browns still gave up those picks. The Texans still have those picks.
Yep. Good for the Texans. I mean, he got rid of trouble and he got a lot of draft capital.
Yeah, I'm not saying good for the Texans. I'm saying you kind of did something dirty and you got away with it. I'm not saying good for them.
I see your point. You're right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think he should be suspended indefinitely. And we're probably going to be more charges coming absurd onto the file soon. If 4 more added in the last week. So who knows?
Yeah. There was a report that came out the other day. I skimmed through it. I didn't read through it because I found it on my lunch at work and then forgot to go back to it. For those of you who don't know, I live in Florida. I work outside. It's summer. It is not cool here. So my brain gets fried throughout the day while I'm at work. But anyway, so I was skimming through the article, and it said that he had seen up to 67 massage specialists
In a year, right?
in a year span.
Yep, I saw
67.
that too.
So only 26 of them have come out and said he did something bad. That's not to say, again, these are allegations.
Yep.
And I will fully come out and say these are allegations. But it is not a good look on the NFL if any more of them come out. 67 of them, you're talking 41 haven't said anything yet.
It doesn't look good on the Browns either, thinking he's going to be innocent and signing him for $250 million.
Not even thinking he's going to be innocent. They structured the contract so that they didn't have to pay him a lot of money in year one because they assumed he'd be suspended for what he did.
Oh yeah, he got paid like $1 million for year one.
Exactly. So it's not. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I think it was like 75 year two, and everything goes down with that payment.
Yes,
still, that's a lot of money. And year one, and not even year one, year two, year three, year four, he signed for 5 years, right?
I think it was. I can look up the contract right now. Sean Watson contract. So he signed a 5-year, $230 million contract, $1 million of it being paid in year one, and 45 million of it is guaranteed.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, it was utilized as a signing bonus.
So he got the money anyway.
He got that money, yeah.
Even if you don't play anymore, he still got money either way.
Which, again, is unfortunate on both accounts. So the NFL looks bad because this guy got a huge contract. The Browns look absolutely horrendous because they knew about the allegations, decided to trade and sign him anyway.
Yep.
It's not a good look for the NFL.
Not one bit. NFL got to fix it immediately.
Yes. The interpretation that I take from that is that he does not play one down. He still gets $44 million.
Yes.
Now, I don't know for sure if that's the case. I obviously did not read the fine print that says if you're convicted, you go to jail, you don't play it down for us, you don't get a penny. But I sincerely doubt he would have signed a contract that said that.
Exactly. There's no way he didn't. He's a smart guy, obviously.
I mean, his agent is an extremely smart guy. I don't know if he's a very smart guy.
You're absolutely right. His agent is a brilliant guy, obviously, getting him that money. So,
hang on. Just as we're talking about it, I got an email that popped up. Report: the Browns can possibly terminate Deshaun Watson's contract if any more allegations come out.
Oh wow, good for them. That's a good
dual threat quarterback. Blah 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 blah. Breaks his silence. Allegations mount. Blah blah blah. Browns are aware of the 23 women who had filed lawsuits in his contract with the team. It states that he is exempt from suspension solely in connection with matters disclosed to the club in writing. So when they traded for him, now. The other one, the 24th that has come out, the 25th and 6th that have come out now, they were not disclosed when the club signed him, which means they could technically void his contract. So, Dad, I apologize. It looks like he won't get a penny if it proceeds. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good flaw in that contract then.
I mean, the Browns had to protect themselves.
You're right. Absolutely.
So,
I mean, it's crappy what they did at Baker then. He's going to get traded, Dad.
He's going to be released.
Yeah, you're right. I know Carolina was in talks about signing him once he was released.
It looks like Carolina and Seattle are the two locations for Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield. Obviously, they're going to go 1-1 wherever they go. Like one's going to go to one, the other one's going to go to the other.
Yep.
Having said that, whichever one goes to Carolina is in a significantly better position. They have a better defense. They have a better offensive line. They have a better running back situation. I like Kenneth Walker, but Christian McCaffrey's
way better.
When he's healthy, he's on another level.
Yep.
But if you were sitting down and I were the Seahawks or I were the Carolina Panthers, I will address that. If I were the Seahawks and the Carolina Panthers, I'm probably looking at Baker Mayfield over Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know that sounds weird. Jimmy Garoppolo has, as you know, taken a team to the Super Bowl. I understand that. Last year he took what looked like an average team in the middle of the season to the playoffs, beat the Cowboys in Dallas.
Beat Green Bay.
But for me, Baker is a little bit younger. That's correct, Ed. And in addition to that, he just seems to have more talent. He's more of a dual threat than Jimmy Garoppolo is, in my opinion. And I think he's got a stronger arm. So for me, if I'm looking as the organizations, I'm leaning towards Baker Mayfield. But obviously, 1 and 1 are going to go to those teams. Now, as for how do they play, obviously, it depends on what team they go to.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bill. Baker is the better quarterback, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. Jimmy G got great numbers. I mean, he played on a Brady. He got great learning experience from Brady.
That's right.
He did go 13-0 at the starter for his first 2 seasons that started until he got injured.
I mean, he's got a winning percentage of like 800. I think he's like 32-9.
Yeah, he knows he's the game manager. That's all he is. He knows when to throw the ball away. Baker's still learning the issues of that. He's young. So I think Baker would benefit more in Carolina than Seattle. But saying that, it's still always up to the GMs and what they pay.
So here's the thing about those 2 organizations is I feel like Seattle gave up on Russell Wilson 4 years ago and just didn't let him go anywhere.
Oh, I agree.
If I'm a quarterback looking at those 2 situations, I also take into account that the Carolina Panthers just traded for Sam Darnold and have now decided that he's not their future 1 year after he dealt with an injury-rattled season. And the Panthers have some ownership issues. So as either of those quarterbacks, I'm not specifically intrigued by either situation. But again, I think Carolina is the slightly better of the 2 situations. I know that Seattle, from an offensive standpoint, you just got Kenneth Walker. Rashad Penny played out of his mind at the end of the season last year. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are still forces to be messed with. So you can think about all that, but their offensive line is horrendous.
See, with Carolina, they got Christian McCaffrey, who, like you said earlier, on another level when he's healthy. They got DJ Moore, who ranked 18 in fantasy last year. I mean, Robbie Anderson got brick hands, but he's still a good route runner, so he still can get open. So I think the wide receiver core and like the running back core, Carolina got the better running back core, but Seattle got a slightly better wide receiver core. So they kind of benefit, like you said, but Seattle does have the worst one of the worst offensive line.
Correct. I think the defensive situation in Carolina is slightly better than in Seattle as well. I know that Seattle let Bobby Wagner go recently. He signed with the Rams, if I'm not mistaken.
I think with the Chargers.
Chargers. Anyway, Bobby Wagner's not a Seahawk anymore.
Yeah.
So I think the Panthers' defensive situation is a better situation than the Seahawks.
Even with them letting who did Philly sign from the Panthers?
Hassan Reddick.
Yeah. So even with them letting him go, I think the Panthers still have a better defense anyway. Correct.
Let's see. You got anything you want to talk about in football? Anything at all? Bring it up. Let's do it.
I got. Let's go to baseball first, and we come back to football if you want. Or do you want to do a little strategy game?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention at the top of the show here is we are going to do a new segment every week. It'll be more fun when there's 3 of us, so we can all debate the ifs and whys and hows. And what we're going to do is when there's 3 of us, one of us will give 3 player names from any sport if you want. We're primarily going to focus on football because we're all really obsessed with fantasy football right now. And we're going to say, would you rather have? And we'll give those 3 players names. And then the other 2 people will debate this week. Timmy and I will debate who they'd rather have and why and what the situation is and everything like that. And we're going to do that segment, try and do that segment every week. Like I said, it'll be called Who Would You Rather Have? Not a super exciting name. When Ryan comes on, maybe he'll find something funny, SpongeBob related to throw in there. I don't know. So baseball. Phillies win today in the first game of their doubleheader. Ranger Suarez pitches 5 2/3 innings, gives up 3 runs. Phillies win 5-3.
They needed to win. They have a bullpen game coming up, which it's going to be hard for them to win then. I mean, our bullpen hasn't been the best. We have a couple guys with just slightly over 1 ERA, which is fine. But
the bullpen hasn't been bad. We've had a absolutely horrendous closer position.
You're right, and I'm surprised that they didn't blow the game in the 9th inning again.
I thought they might.
I didn't watch it, so I'm not familiar with what happened or anything like that. But from what I saw, they're swinging the bats well. Reese. Oh my goodness, he is on fire right now, and he, that there's like nothing stopping him. Like he made contact to get the lands. That's what happened when you're on hot.
He had a very hard hit line drive right at the right fielder today. He went 0 for 4, I think. But prior to today, yes, Rhys Hoskins has been tearing the cover off the ball. And I feel like the players are taking it in stages. At first, it was like Alec Boehm and Bryce Harper were hot. Then Harper kind of led into Realmuto getting hot for a very short amount of time. Realmuto fizzled out super fast. We'll talk about that in a second. And then Hoskins got hot. Now Castellanos getting hot. Schwarber, 18 home runs, second in all of majors behind Aaron Judge, who is just
phenomenal right now.
Guy is a monster.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Yankees field, though. Most of the hits on line to right field.
I mean, I know it's a short deck out there, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he's hit the ball hard enough to do it. And he hasn't gotten all 24 home runs in Yankee Stadium.
You're right. He's the powerful guy.
He's a home run hitter. He's a big kid.
He's the home run hitter. So there's not that many in baseball anymore.
He's actually pretty athletic. He plays center field for the Yankees.
No, I think he plays right field. He threw someone out from right field the other day.
I think they have a rotation, honestly. When one of them, which is whatever. The Braves were on a 14-game winning streak.
They lost today.
They lost today 1-0 to the Cubs, who had just lost 10 straight, which I think is absolutely awesome. But the NFC East, or NL East, I'm sorry, wow, football to baseball there. The NL East is shaping up to be one of the better divisions in baseball. You're talking the Mets in their last 10 are only 6-4, but they've got 42 wins this year. The Braves just went on a 14-game tear. So the Phillies, as great as they've played, 13 out of their last 15, didn't gain a step on the Braves.
Yeah, or the Mets at that. Back,
no,
right?
they were 12 games back last week when we did the show, and they're only 8 games back on the Mets now.
They gained 4 games. I mean, the Mets are finding ways to win. Like, whatever they do, they get find holes, and their pitching been outstanding for them, apparently.
Yeah, they're
DeGrom and Max Scherzer.
Yeah, obviously their first two they're 1 and 2 pitchers, Scherzer and DeGrom. DeGrom might be out for the year.
Didn't he tear something?
Yeah, he's got like a ligament in his elbow that hasn't been right since 2014, and he just keeps going out there and slinging the baseball. But and then Scherzer obviously has been out. He's supposed to come back in a couple of weeks, I think, though.
Yeah. I heard he's supposed to be back, I think.
And again, that just makes that rotation even better than it's already been. Tyjon Walker, Garrett McGill, they're pitching out of their minds right now, and good for them.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question.
Please.
If DeGrom is healthy and Scherzer is healthy, who do you want?
DeGrom.
Okay.
DeGrom has been the face of your franchise since he was drafted. He bumped Matt Harvey from that position super fast, and then Matt Harvey fell off the face of the earth.
Okay.
So if
close
Matt,
at least?
What's that?
Is it close?
No, not for me.
What Matt saying?
When DeGrom is healthy, he pitches like a 98.098 ERA. And he's done it over time. Like Scherzer, great, 2.2 ERA, 1.9 ERA, fantastic. DeGrom is on another level. He's one of those players that is just bigger than the game, and he can slow it down and just be that good. So for me, it's not close. It's DeGrom. If you're telling me he's 100% healthy and Scherzer's 100% healthy, it's Jacob DeGrom.
Okay, I like that opinion. I think it's Scherzer. So I think from what he done with the Nationals, bringing it to LA,
He's not a National.
I know. I'm saying what he done with the Nationals and bringing it to LA, and he lost in the playoffs last year. Bringing it to, he did great in the first 10 games he pitched for the Mets. I think the Phillies were the first earned run he gave up.
They were.
And that was 10 games, 11 games in the season for him, maybe? So,
no, I think it was like his 4th start.
Okay, still.
He's been out for a while.
You're right. So still 4 starts and haven't gave up an earned run. That's really good still. Not a lot of pitchers can do that.
I agree, and I understand where you're coming from. Scherzer is great, but if you're telling me that he's as good or better than DeGrom at his 100%, I'm disagreeing with you hardcore.
After you pointed out what you just said, I'm gonna have to lean toward your way now. You talked me out of it.
Don't change.
You know,
You're perfect the way you are, buddy. Don't change.
Don't get me wrong. I think Scherzer is a really good pitcher. He's going to be a Hall of Famer either way.
See, that's tough. He needs to pitch for like 6 or 7 more years.
How old is he? 32?
32 or 33, yeah. Look, Scherzer's fantastic. He's got a Cy Young under his belt. He's won 2 World Series with 2 different teams. Scherzer is great. Yeah. I'm not putting anything past Scherzer. And, yeah, he very well could make the Hall of Fame. But sitting here right now, it'd be like asking me right after Doc threw that perfect game in the playoffs if he was a Hall of Famer. Like, you just don't know at that point.
It wasn't a perfect game at the no-hitter.
No-hitter. My apologies.
Same year he threw the perfect game, so it happens.
It was, yeah, against the Marlins in Miami, by the way. Josh Johnson also gave up an unearned run and lost 1-0.
Yep.
Yes.
I think he gave up like 4 hits, maybe. Not even.
No. Johnson only gave up 2 hits. It was 1 unearned run, and the Phillies won 1-0 on a perfect game by Roy Halladay.
Yep.
I know because the Flyers were in the playoffs, and I was flipping back and forth. So yeah, the Mets are the best team in the NL right now with a 42 win record. They've been 6-4 in their last 10. The Padres have gotten real hot. They're second best in the conference. 41 wins. The Dodgers are 4-6 in their last 10. Have kind of wavered a little bit with 39 wins. And then a lot of 37s, 35s, and 34s. The Phillies obviously included in that bunch as well. So you're talking the NL is shaking out right now. Looking like a good conference, competitive conference, and I'm looking forward to that race. The American League is not as dominant. You've got the Yankees, who are the best team in baseball right now.
Yep.
You've got the Astros, who are 5-5 in their last 10 games and are still 15 games above 500.
Isn't both New York teams like 1 and 2 in the league?
Yeah, they are. The Yankees are number 1, Mets are number 2. I would hate to see another Subway Series, man.
Yeah, so would I. Absolutely.
I would say that the last one was still iconic. You know, Clemens and Piazza, the whole broken bat thing. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Piazza like swung at a pitch, broke his bat. It splintered towards Roger Clemens. He picked it up, threw it back at Piazza. It was like this whole thing.
That's the video that's on Facebook all the time.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
It was a whole thing. I think Dad, actually, you and I watched that game together because growing up, obviously, all I did was baseball. Now I want to go back to a comment that Timmy's wife made.
Oh God.
This is in reference to the Deshaun Watson Cleveland Browns situation. Still sounds bad that they were okay with the first 20-something accusations, just not with more than that. I agree. Now, there was stipulations in the contract that said, just like we read a few minutes ago, I'm not saying that it's good at all in any way, shape, or form that they signed the contract that they did with Deshaun Watson. But when they traded for him, the allegations were supposed to have been disproven. The lawyers and everybody came out. Even Adam Schefter left his tweet up recently about how he wanted people to look into it because he was innocent and stuff like that. And then it turned out after they had signed him that he wasn't innocent. Again, more allegations that he isn't innocent. It's hard to word it because the way they're handling it is absolutely horrendous, in my opinion. But the interpretation that I took from it was that the Browns thought that Deshaun Watson was to be cleared of all charges and all accusations by a court, and that didn't happen for some reason, and I don't know what happened to make it not happen.
I don't know either. I think another woman
coming
forward did it for them, and then they dismissed the first 20 and kept the last 6, maybe.
It might be. Sure. Yeah, it's all speculation. I mean, even from people who are close to the situation, it's speculation because of how much of a lid the NFL is keeping on it.
So I saw a leak. It was at first it was Deshaun Watson with getting experienced therapists, then every other time he went with younger and younger with less experience, so he could get away with that allegations.
Which, again, speculation.
Good.
But I could see that happening if like a weathered, been doing this for 10 years individual is like, don't effing touch me, but the younger person isn't, and he's like looking for something. That might be the case. Again, speculation. I'm not accusing. It's all allegations. Yeah. However, it looks real bad. And as such, I'm glad that the Eagles didn't feel the necessity to trade for Deshaun Watson.
I agree.
I'm an Eagles fan.
I agree.
Back to baseball.
The Phillies play tonight. It's like 7:05, right?
They do. They play in about 35 minutes.
Now with double hitters, the pitchers out the bullpen that pitch, are they allowed to pitch again?
They won't. So you won't see Brad Hand. You won't see Sir Anthony Dominguez. You won't see Connor Brogdon. But we still have Juris Familia, Jose Alvarado, Corey Knebel. Dad, Bailey Falter is starting. It's a bullpen game. Bailey Falter is our spot starter. He'll give us 3 innings, and then you'll go to Nelson, who might hopefully give us 3 innings, and then you can go to the Familias and the Knebels and the Alvarados after that. So you're looking for 3 innings out of Falter. You're looking for 3 innings out of Nelson. You're looking for 2 innings out of Nelson, and then bring one of the other younger guys in, see if they can get out of a jam, something like that.
Is the Nationals doing a bullpen game too?
Who?
The Nationals?
I think they are also in a bullpen game, yes. I'm not 100% sure. I thought maybe their first game today was a bullpen game, but that guy came out and threw 100 pitches, so I doubt it.
No, I've been hearing a lot about that pitcher. That he's on my way home, the announcers for the game said, what was it? That he gives up a lot of runs, but he never gets any run support. I think he got 12 runs the whole year, not including those 3 he got.
Cole Hamels syndrome.
Yes. Even Aaron Nola syndrome the first couple starts.
Well, he starts tomorrow, so let's hope he gets some run support.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth, I know I'm trying to like keep it very generic and be all sports, but if we're going to talk about the Phillies real quick, 13 out of their last 15 is the first time they've done that since 2011. You're talking 11 seasons straight where they haven't had a plus minus in a month the way they've done it like this. 11 seasons. That just goes to show you how bad they've been since that run.
Well, it shows you that the interim general manager or not general manager, whatever,
Rob Thompson.
The first 9 games he won was the first time in the Phillies history that the manager won 9-0.
That's correct. Now it's also really hard to go 9-0 when you're a brand new manager starting a new season.
You're right, absolutely.
It's different when you fire a manager and the team's fired up and they go out and they crush. Look, the Brewers are a good team. Brewers right now are sitting. I can check it just so we're 100% sure. They've kind of been falling off a little bit lately, but they're still 35-30. And we went into their house and took 3 games from them. It wasn't like they came to us. And then the Marlins have been a thorn in our side for years, so that's a tough fought victories there. The Nationals are a rivalry, tough fought victories there. I mean, it doesn't look tough last night when you win 10-1, but you get my point.
I mean, 7 unearned runs,
and that's the thing. Yes, 7 unearned runs is extremely unfortunate for Patrick Corbin. But from a Phillies standpoint, I don't care that there were 7.
Absolutely, yeah, it's great.
First time they've had 7 unearned runs in a game since 2013 against St. Louis, I think. I'm not 100% sure. Somebody would have to fact check me on that. But I think it's like 2013 against the Cardinals in St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken. So twice now they've done it back-to-back where it's been away.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
Apparently it does.
Happens to the best.
It's a good question from Ken. Are we talking Rhys Hoskins on the streak that he was just on or the streak that he's about to be on? Look, Ryan and I have discussed this. Timmy, you were on the first episode where we discussed it. Rhys Hoskins is the streakiest player.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've ever seen. The crappy Rhys Hoskins, Garrett Cooper. The Rhys Hoskins we've had for the last 2 weeks, Rhys Hoskins. But you can't be guaranteed you're getting that Rhys Hoskins.
I mean, I mean, Garrett Cooper is having a good year so far, but he might die out soon too. Who knows?
Or he holds together a pretty consistent situation, and next year he's the look. The reality is, I don't think the question is Garrett Cooper or Reese Hoskins. I think the question is Alec Bohm or Reese Hoskins.
Yep.
I know that Cooper's hitting 315. I get it. His power is not like Reese Hoskins. His RBIs are down as well. His OBP is lower than Reese because Reese walks. But Reese does strike out a lot.
Yep. But he always go to 3-2 counts. Like
not always. That was his pedigree before. This year he's getting back to it, but at the start of the season he wasn't. Then he got hot and he started getting back to it. And it's all indicative about the way he plays. Like if he's able to see the ball well, he's seeing the ball well, he can hit the ball well. But again, I don't think the question is Garrett Cooper or Reese Hoskins. I think the question is Alec Bohm or Reese Hoskins. And Alec Bohm is hitting like 309 lifetime with runners in scoring position, so I'm taking Bohm.
I agree. Bohm's younger too. So
yeah.
And he's gonna at third base and first base is not that big of a difference. I played both. They're both hot corners. Believe me, it's not the only difference is first base you come on the bag every time.
They are different. It's a different trajectory off the bat from a left-handed to a right-handed hitter, whether you want to admit it or not. It absolutely is. Having said that, I think taking Bohm off of third base would do him wonders. Even today, he had a mental error in the ninth inning that could have cost him the game.
I mean, yeah. And then we have young guys who can fill in the spots. Like we got Stott who can play third.
Stott's going to be our shortstop next year.
I hope he is. Who is that new guy at second base?
Munoz?
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard of him before.
He came up from AAA, and I think he's just like a spot guy in this series because we're playing 5 games in 4 days. I'm not sure how long he'll be here. But I think he's just a spot guy for the time being. Obviously, I said in a text message group to you, Ken and Ryan last night, if you're going to be playing somebody who's not going to produce at the plate, you may as well be playing Scott Kingery. At least he gives you a gold glove talent at second base. And I stand by that. The next time the reason I think the Phillies haven't played Kingery is because they want him to be comfortable at the plate. They want to give him his last true shot to make the roster. And if he's being honest with the organization, he's probably not comfortable at the plate right now.
I mean, that's why I didn't AAA right now.
Correct.
So
no, he's hitting, I believe he's hitting high 280s in AAA right now. Let me check it right quick.
I mean, it's a big difference from AAA pitching and MLB pitching.
Absolutely, but it's something that you have to be able to look at.
Right.
I was incorrect. Oh, no, wait. No. Why does it always just immediately assume that I hate this? Sometimes Google is super helpful, and then other times it's like, this is something you had no questions for. He's hitting 274 right now.
High 200s. How many?
He's hitting 283 right now with 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. But he hasn't had a lot of ABs. He just came back healthy. He's got 69 at bats. So like, that's not a definitive number.
What was the injury? His arm or something? Broken hand?
No, I think it was like ligaments or something in his arm.
Okay. I mean, he's still a gold glove second baseman, like you said.
He was in 2018. I mean, he's 28 years old now. He's getting old. So what Ryan said many shows ago is he's probably not going to be a big league talent ever again, which is unfortunate. I was a huge Kingery fan. I watched him in the minors. I remember telling everybody in 2013, look out for this kid. Here he comes. And I was right. And then Gabe Kapler happened with the launch angle and statistical baseball, and they ruined him.
Yep, I agree with that 100%.
It happens. It's part of the game.
I mean, I'm hoping he can get to an MLB level on a different team, maybe.
Probably not. It's unfortunate. He probably knows it too.
Yeah, he still signed a deal that gave him money.
He got his money. Yeah, he got paid.
So
he said this. The reason Moniak was in spring training, tearing the cover off the ball. He hit just as many home runs as Bryce Harper did, I think 7 or 8 in spring training. He looked fantastic. He broke his hand. Typically, when you get hit with a baseball in the batter's box and it does damage, you get skittish.
Yep.
I think he's in AAA right now to work that out.
I agree. I think Moniak will be back up soon.
So do I.
As soon as he get over that little fear of him getting hit by the ball, I mean, if you look at Stott, they have a hand grip for it, like covering the hand now
Yeah, but Stott didn't wear that in preseason. They gave him that after Moniak broke his hand.
because they don't want another young guy to break his hand.
Yeah, and I mean Stott's younger than Moniak is. Moniak is still young. I think he's 23 years old. We signed him out of high school. Like
Yeah.
these high school hitters, like Ryan. Again, Ryan is by far the knowledge on all of this stuff over me. I will not deny it any day of the week. Said that like these high school kids, they come out hitting bombs in high school, but it's not the same. And it takes them a while to develop a habit, takes them a while to develop confidence, takes them a while to be able to join a big league club and be productive. And I think he can be. I really do. But he's got to get over this little period here. And I think he'll be back. And I think he'll probably be a career, like, hopeful 260, 270 hitter, probably 250, 260 hitter, and probably hit somewhere around 20 dingers a year, which, hey, look, center field production, that's solid.
Yeah, we need a center field production right now. So,
all right, let's move on to our little game.
You go first, buddy.
All right, so again, we're going to play a little game called Who Would You Rather Have? We're done baseball, Dad. I've got running backs, Antonio Gibson, Elijah Mitchell, and Pierce from the Texans.
All right. So we touched base a little bit earlier. I'm going to go Elijah Mitchell, Gibson, Pierce.
Why?
Well, Elijah Mitchell was the 6th round draft pick last year, I think, maybe later. And they signed
Trey
yeah,
Sermon.
Yeah, they signed him in the 2nd round, and Elijah Mitchell took over that role immediately after he got hurt and never gave it back. I've read that he'd already the starting role that not using Sermon at all. It's all Elijah Mitchell. Now Gibson, I hear, is the running back committee with Brian Robinson, I think. So, and Gibson's more injury prone than Mitchell is, in my opinion. I never was a big fan of Gibson, but that gets my opinion, obviously. And Pierce, you don't know what he's going to do in Houston. You really don't. Or no. Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right now, he's supposedly behind Marlon Mack. I don't think that holds very long.
See, I think it does.
Look, Marlon Mack was fantastic a few years back before Jonathan Taylor took his job. I'm not taking anything away from Marlon Mack. However, at best, they are platooning together. For Mack, I'm saying at best for Mack, they're platooning together.
I agree with that, actually.
Okay.
But I watched the Facebook video yesterday on Tyler Heineke, and he was saying that NFL is like a business. If you sign someone for $30 million, they're going to pay the dude for $30 million. So that I kind of agree with that, to be honest. Like
Carson Wentz.
Exactly. So everyone knows the Commanders signed Carson Wentz for $30 million, something like that. No, I'm sorry.
No. What I'm saying is the Eagles signed Carson Wentz to that $121 million contract or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head.
Oh, with the Eagles, okay.
And then halfway through the season, 11 games into the season, Jalen Hurts takes over. So it doesn't always mean that just because they signed the big name guy for a lot of money that he's going to play.
If you do it that way, yeah, I agree.
So here's I'm also going Mitchell 1 because I think he's the clear-cut number 1 back in San Francisco. Trey Sermon did not show signs of life at any given time last year, while Elijah Mitchell was making his own space, making his own name. So for me, it's Elijah Mitchell. The people who think that Gibson has more upside than Mitchell have not been paying attention. The Commanders drafted Brian Robinson, who is a big downhill back, much like the duo from Carolina all those years ago, Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
Robinson is going to be a vulture. You get within the 5, it's Robinson's ball. You're taking the ability to score points, score touchdowns, away from Antonio Gibson and giving it to another player, that means that his upside is not very high anymore. Is Gibson talented? Yes. On a lot of teams, is he a definitive one? Probably. A lot of teams are going to the running back by committee these days. But I think you take a lot of his scoring production down because you give it to Robinson. Ergo, I go Pierce second and Gibson third because, as I've already stated, at best for Mac, it will be a platoon situation. I think Pierce takes the lead by week 8 and probably doesn't give it back.
I absolutely see that happening too.
Okay.
But like you said, at best, Mac is the platoon.
For Mac, yeah, but I didn't pick Mac. I picked Pierce.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But he still should get some touches. I'm a big fan of Mac,
So am I. I've got nothing against Marlon Mack. The writing is on the wall. When you get benched for a young guy who's explosive and can catch the ball out of the backfield because your hands are made of brick, you go to another team where they draft an almost identical version of Jonathan Taylor in Pierce. The writing's on the wall.
Okay. My turn?
Yeah.
Who would you rather have?
Drawing a blank.
Michael Pittman, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore.
All right. So I like this. This is very good. As it stands, those 3 players, I'm going Michael Pittman. Now, Dynasty, I would say Scary Terry. But for the sake of saying it's a 1-year thing, I'm going Michael Pittman because of the situation at hand. Who's throwing him the ball this year versus who's throwing Scary Terry the ball?
Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz.
Correct. Now, Carson Wentz, 3,600 yards last year, 27-7 or whatever his turnover ratio was. He did not play poorly for the Indianapolis Colts. We've discussed this. And he's capable of being a field general and getting the ball out and scoring touchdowns. And now he's got a true blue number 1 receiver. Nobody can argue it. Pittman was kind of coming onto the scene last year. So I predict Carson Wentz probably goes 4,200 yards this year, somewhere around 32-10, 32-11. That's probably a bold prediction for Carson Wentz. But Matt Ryan is going to throw for over 5,000 yards. Matt Ryan is going to throw for 42 touchdowns. And Pittman's going to get his touches. DJ Moore is an unknown right now. We don't know who's throwing him the football. He's got to come third.
I don't agree with that because DJ Moore was still ranked number 18 out of all wide receivers last year with 3 different quarterbacks.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Scary Terry first. And then I'm going to go DJ Moore and then Pittman.
Okay. Explain Scary Terry number 1. You don't like Matt Ryan. I get it. So Pittman, he's a little guy. He's down on your list. I understand that. Tell me why Scary Terry number 1.
So Scary Terry, he's a great route runner, and he will go get the ball for you.
Very good hands. I agree.
That play I saw last year against I don't remember who it was against, but he caught the ball like behind its back with two wide receivers on him.
Corners. Was it the Vikings?
It might have been the Vikings, but he still kept his feet in to get the first down, whatever it was. I think overall he had better hands than DJ Moore and Pittman. Don't get me wrong, I like Pittman as a wide receiver, I do. And with a different quarterback situation, it's going to be better. I don't agree with that, Dad. I don't agree with that at all. So the Colts already said they're going to use Najee Hines more this year than they did last year.
In the slot
wide receiver. So if you say Taylor's going to get the bulk, I don't 1,000%. He's going to get the bulk of the rushing carries.
Here's where I'm at on that is because Carson was a field general, you had to ride Jonathan Taylor into a 9-8 season.
Yep.
Matt Ryan is not a field general. Matt Ryan is capable of winning games by himself. He
Absolutely.
just is. He's a better talent than Carson Wentz is.
He took the Falcons, who were the terrible team last year, to 6 wins.
Yeah, they were a bad team.
They were bad.
So, again, Matt Ryan is a quarterback that can go out and win games on his arm. You can bring that up all you want, but teams lose Super Bowls.
Absolutely.
Coaches lose Super Bowls. When you're up 27-3, coaches lose Super Bowls.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
And then, anyways, as I was saying, I just told you that Matt Ryan's going to throw for over 5,000 yards. Pittman's the number one receiver over there. Who do you think is getting a lot of those 5,000 yards? Bold prediction. If he stays healthy, Pittman catches 1,100 yards this season. That's a bold prediction, and I'm sticking with it.
So my bold prediction is Scary Terry going to catch 1,200, 11, 12 touchdowns.
That is a really bold prediction. I'll give him 6 touchdowns and 1,000 yards.
Agree to disagree.
That's fine. DJ Moore rounds it out with 800 and probably 5 or 6 touchdowns also. That's what I was looking at. I was looking at the numbers they are going to produce this season. Pittman has the biggest upside because of who's throwing him the football. I understand what you're saying. Wide receiver 18 with 3 different quarterbacks last year, but I'm pretty sure he only caught like 896 yards. Let's look it up real quick. Jay Moore.
No, I think it was within 1,000. I think Jets over 1,000.
Sorry, you're 100% correct. Last year he did catch 1,100 yards. You're right.
So
DJ Moore moves up my list a little bit.
So you put Scary Terry behind him?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Like you said about Pittman, I agree with you. He's going to get the majority of the passes thrown at him. But who else is there, really? You got the rookie? Like,
I don't actually know who else on that roster.
That's my point. That's my point. You don't know who's on that roster. So Pittman, a big name wide receiver, is going to get most of the throws.
Paris Campbell signed with them. Michael Pittman Jr. is there. Kiki QT, he's pretty good hands. Ashton Doolin, and that's it.
They signed a rookie, didn't they?
Mike Strachan.
Okay, that's not who I'm thinking of.
Desmond Patton.
No, okay, never mind.
Alec Pierce.
That's the one, Pierce.
Okay. Yeah.
I heard he was. What did Dad say?
Tim with the knowledge. He can't type.
Oh.
I
just figure out the tour side thing.
What's you got anything else you want to talk about? First show.
I mean, we can do another set if you want. If you got any more names.
No. We're gonna cut the show right. If you have like one other thing you want to bring up, we can bring it up.
No, I'm good.
All right, sounds good. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tim's first episode here as our seasonal host. I think it went pretty well. Hopefully next week, the 3 of us can be on and we'll get a lot of good banter going back and forth. Tim, you did a good job. I know I did most of the talking, but you chimed in at all the right spots, buddy.
Thanks, man.
So again, thanks for hanging out with us at BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a good night.
See you guys.